Hi, Promise Fellows. This is Noam at the Alliance. So right now, I'm going to walk through how you can pull a report in order to see all of your data. And this will help you both use data and then on the accountability side, see what you have and what needs updates. So right now, first things first, you just need to log into your OnCorps profile. So this is at mn.oncorreports.com, same place that you do your timesheets and your student tracking. Log into your account. So go to your profile name, and I'm just logging into my test profile. So right now, you should go to Reporting, Submit Reports, and Promise Fellow Reporting. When you're there, you have the option to pull two different reports, a member combination and student totals. They both essentially say the same, or they both have the exact same information. I use student totals because it's easier to use formulas with in order to manipulate the data. But member combination, I would argue, is easier for you as it has a combination of all the baseline, all of the demographic information, and all the interventions that you would do. So right now, you don't have to put in any filters because you only have access to your data. So you could choose and go through and find your school site, but that's not needed. You can just hit Run Report, and it will always default to the month that it is, aka it pulls up to the most recent data. So I'm just going to hit Run Report. And once again, it will show you in the browser, but viewing in the browser is impossibly large. So I would export and download into Excel. And then that way you could either use it in Google Sheets or you could use it in Microsoft Excel. And just as a positive plug, just make sure that wherever you're using it, that the data stays safe and it's not easily accessible to anyone outside of yourself. All right. So, just to help you navigate, right now, all of the information will be contained in the first tab that shows all of the indicator types, aka attendance, engagement, work completion. So you can see it all in one spot, and then there will be smaller amounts of information just related to attendance or just related to the SEI or just related to work completion. And then finally, you'll have every singular survey answer on the SEI in its own tab as well. So right now, I'm just going to start highlighting pieces that will hopefully be meaningful to you. Right now, all of your students will be in column E, so you should see every name of every student that you've built. So right now, these are our test profiles from Small Core 1, and I believe there's 11 people there. So you will be viewing this right after baseline. So for this fake profile, you would be already serving the expected number of students, which, by essentially October, are expected that you're serving right around 10. And then if you start later in the year, that date shifts respectively. So right now you should see student names, you should see their grade, demographic. If you have your MARS column empty like I do, if possible, please put a MARS number in. Talk to your site supervisor, figure out where that 13-digit number is, because that helps us show if the student graduates high school ultimately. So I'm just going to keep going over. You can see their start date, aka when you started serving them. And so this column P should really just be when you actually started supporting them. So not when you know that they qualified, but when you started regularly supporting them. So if that's right now, awesome. Please don't feel like you need to do it as soon as you realized that they could be a student. Do it as of your first support. Then you have multiple end dates and start dates, and you won't add an end date for a student. We'll do future tutorial on that, but essentially whenever you stop supporting a student for whatever odd reason, whether they left your school, left your site, or it's literally the end of the school year, you just put that in whenever the student is finished. So right now you shouldn't have any end dates. And all of your status on students should be actively serving, because that means that you are serving them. The other two statuses are inactive, or as we go into the impact study, you might also see some students that say comparison student. I'm just changing that cell just to show what you would be able to see. Please note that if you change anything in the spreadsheet, that does not actively change OnCorps. All changes would have to be done within the student's profile. All right, so I'm going to do a trick, and I'll show you how to do this. You can highlight columns that you don't want to see. So right now I'm holding down Shift and I'm going from V all the way over to F, and I'm going to right click and I'm just going to hit hide, because that will make this so much easier to view. So right now I can see all my student names and what their baseline is. So for feedback on this profile, which is pretty perfect honestly, because we've built or partially built about 11 students in the last 2 months. So I can see attendance baseline, and I'm looking essentially to see if I see anything that's blank. So right now I can see the amount of days, so this should read as this student missed 10 days out of the last 80. And so since it's 80 days, I would assume that that's really a trimester. It seems a bit long, but 10 out of 80, and in those 80 days they also arrived late to school 5 days. So I'm just going to go down column Y, column Z, and column W. I'm looking to see if there's anything that's blank. Nope, it looks like there's complete baseline, aka there's no missing holes. The one piece of feedback that I would have for this person, so if this is you, I know that OnCorps was a bit frustrating because it was not allowing you to save whether you were pulling from last year, last academic quarter, trimester, or last month. But as of now, it will be saving those. So if you can go into the profile and indicate whether it was last academic year, last academic quarter, or last month, please do so, and I'll do that for one person. So for right now, fake person is missing that. So if I go into student tracking for fake person, I'm going to edit the profile and scroll down, and I can clearly see it was out of a month, but there's nothing saved here. So just go back in and just say last academic month, or whichever it was. So if it was a quarter, put the quarter. If it was a year, put the year, and then just hit save. That was an error that happened early on in this year, and many people don't have that saved. Thankfully, I'm mostly able to tell, but in order to build the most complete data that we can to show why you're supporting a student, please update that if it's missing. So that's the only thing that's missing for this person, for their students' baseline attendance. So next piece is I'm going to go over to the student engagement. So for any student engagement surveys that you entered or student took, they would be populated here. And this is a perfect example. This is where I'm looking for holes. So I can see that Emerson does not have an SEIN yet. Fake person does not have an SEIN yet. Shannon doesn't have it. John doesn't have it. Fake name doesn't have it. And Peter France does not have it. So what you would need to do is go input them. So whether that's the student taking the survey, or if that's you inputting the written survey, please do so. So once again, I'll show you what I mean. So if I go into Emerson France profile, I can go to edit profile, and I can see that the link was generated, but it was never completed. So whether it is you entering it as though you were the student, or the student themselves taking it, this needs to be completed, and then their SEI would be updated. Okay. And finally, I'm going to go over to work completion. Once again, I'm just looking for holes because I should be able to see the 2 work completion scores, aka which 2 classes the student's struggling with for a year, or which 2 classes are a year long that a student needs extra support in. So you can see which class it is, and then once again, since I'm looking to do coaching, I'm looking for what isn't there. So I can see that this student doesn't have, and this student doesn't have. So if I scroll over, I could see that member test, sorry, that's my profile, fake name needs a new or needs a work completion, and fake person needs it. So once again, that would be going into the profile. So I'm going to go into fake person's profile, and I'm going to go over, and I can see that these 2 are missing. So right now, if with my supervisor's guidance that I am working with the student on math, and let's say science, this is where you'd go in either by your academic database or surveying the teachers on how much work they're getting done, but you would be able to update and hit save, and then that would also update. Okay, so the last piece that I want to show is, and once again, I'm just going to hide some stuff, so you might, please know that you can always just use left and right and scroll left and right in order to see pieces and highlight columns, so that way you can go back and forth, but I want this as viewable as possible, so I'm just going to hide some more columns so you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to hide. So here's all your student names again. Your member combo report will always organize via who you're spending the most time with. So I can see with student Emerson and student Noam that I have spent the most time with them. So that's either doing caring adult, in-school mentoring, or tutoring support, if that's a service project that you've done, or if it's out of school, aka after school or out of the school building. Awesome. And then once again, I'm just going to scroll down until I see zeros, aka these last 3 students. So Peter, France, Hansel, and fake name, they haven't had any interventions put in yet. So part of your role is to make sure that you show with this support, as you try to support in school, out of school, or service, that there's positive change that happens in the young person's life. So these 3 people would need interventions entered. So the last piece that I'm going to show you, you can see information just on attendance in the attendance tab, but I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to go into the engagement tab. So once again, here's all of your student names. I'm going to make this easier to view by hiding. But you can see your student names in column C, and then you can also see the SEI, but this is hopefully awesome because this will also show you what domains or which areas that students perceive difficulty with, or supports that they don't see. So right now I can see with the student Noam that I'm really struggling with teacher-student relationships, and I don't see that I have a lot of control to my schoolwork, and then I also don't have a lot of goals. So since I was that fake student, this is all hopefully helpful information to you as the Promise Fellow. Please note that the highest possible score would be a 4, because that would mean that you answered every question as strongly agree. And then also realize that the questions that were slightly weird, aka they were inversed on intrinsic motivation, that this already took care of that. So this is just another way that you can get to know your students. I'd say 1 and 2s are areas of concern, that's something that student definitely needs extra support with. 3s could still be concerning, and 4s means that student does not see that as a difficulty. So you can go through and hopefully get to know your students more and help inform your service or your work more. All right, well, thanks folks. This is my mini tutorial on how to use your member combination, and I hope this helps you both see progress with your students and then show that outcome or show that impact. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your trainer.